We heard gunshots, but they sounded like firecrackers because they wasn't that close, so we heard gunshots. But, it's just fucked up that happened to that dude, you know, it's just internet trying to.
Did you know Duke before this incident happened, before he was gambling with you the night before?
Nah.
Okay.
But nah, I met dude was finna make me a piece, bro, like, you know, and that ain't our stilo, bro. We don't rob niggas, and that's not our stilo, bro.
Boosie is catching serious heat right now. The streets are turning their backs on him hard after whispers started spreading that he was the one who allegedly called the hit on Duke the jeweler. Once a respected figure in his hometown, Boosie is now blacklisted from the very streets that helped build his name. People are saying if he dares show his face there again, it won't end well. Some even warning he might not make it out alive. And here's where it gets even darker. Boosie's long-rumored mob ties are back in the spotlight. Duke the jeweler didn't just die. He was taken out during one of those infamous dice games, the same kind of setup where Takeoff lost his life. Too many similarities, too many coincidences. The streets can't help but ask, did Boosie really sacrifice Duke, or was he framed to take the heat for something way bigger than him? Duke's death didn't feel random, it felt personal, like an execution made to send a message. The entire situation is dripping with mystery, betrayal, and silence from people who were right there when it happened. And before we dive into the suspicious details that make no sense, we need to rewind and look at how the night unfolded. Duke had been posted up at that dice game all night, surrounded by people he thought were friends. They laughed, joked, played side by side. But behind his back, they might have been flashing signs, making calls, setting the stage for what came next. That's what's got everyone uneasy, because Duke wasn't some easy target. He built everything he had from the ground up, no handouts, just straight hustle and street loyalty. And that makes you wonder, who really wanted him gone? Duke the jeweler wasn't just another name in the game, he was building a whole empire with his own two hands. His pieces were fire, real one-of-a-kind designs that rappers couldn't get enough of. From underground artists to industry legends, everyone wanted that Duke touch. So when he packed up from Chicago and headed to Houston, it wasn't for clout or vacation. It was strictly business. And the one who allegedly reached out, none other than Boosie himself. Boosie supposedly told Duke he wanted to discuss some custom jewelry, exclusive designs for the next big project. Duke showed up ready to lock in, carrying $1 million duffel stuffed with his finest pieces, ready to make deals and build his name even higher. But what he didn't know was that this business trip would end up being his final one. That duffel bag full of diamonds and dreams, it later turned up somewhere nobody expected, and that's when things started looking real suspicious. Now, let's talk about that dice game, the one that turned the whole night into a death trap. According to multiple reports, this wasn't some casual gambling session between friends. It was a setup from the start. Even veteran insiders like Whack 100 stepped up and said exactly what the streets were whispering.
And Little Cam are the loaded dice rotators, right? He said, Whack, there was a situation that occurred that a certain jeweler around and got past the dice on accident and was hitting all them for a couple hundred. They got irritated about that. I ain't gonna go too far into that story because, right, boom. The only way they could get their money back was however money back.
He warned that if you ever get invited to a dice game in Houston, especially one hosted under Jay Prince's watch, you better think twice and run fast. Because according to him, people rarely leave those games without getting stripped of everything, or worse, losing their life. And that's exactly what happened to Duke, the jeweler. He thought he was linking up with potential clients, not walking into a rigged situation where the dice were literally against him. Whack 100 broke it down. Those games are fixed from the start. The dice get manipulated, the odds get twisted, and the only winners are Jay Prince Jr. and his mob ties crew. Everyone else just there to lose. Money, pride, or sometimes even their heartbeat. That's why the streets are buzzing. Because Duke didn't just lose a game that night, he lost his life. And people are saying it was never about luck. It was about power, control, and silence. Something about that whole setup just doesn't sit right. It was never just a friendly game. It was a setup masked as a fair match. A slick robbery operation dressed up as street fun. The rule in those Houston dice games is simple. The house always wins. But that night, something went wrong. Someone messed up the usual rotation and accidentally passed the loaded dice straight to Duke. And once he started rolling, the man couldn't miss. He was on fire, stacking cash, smiling big, flipping the whole table dynamic upside down. He had cracked their code without even knowing it. And here's the thing, Duke wasn't quiet about his wins. He was recording the whole thing, phone in hand, laughing, flexing, showing off those thick stacks of hundreds while everyone else watched tight-lipped. At first glance, it looked like harmless flexing, a jeweler just enjoying his winnings. But when those videos resurfaced later, people started noticing chilling details. Strange side glances, whispered exchanges, little hand signals in the background that screamed something darker was going on. Then came the real bombshell. Word spread that J. Prince allegedly pockets about 30% from every dice game haul. So when Duke kept winning and breaking their system, it didn't just bruise egos, it cut into their money. That's when the smiles vanished and the tension hit the ceiling. You could feel the room shift. Now here's where the energy turned straight sinister. Duke's camera caught moments even he didn't realize were important. When people replayed those clips later, they noticed something.
Man,
You supposed to be mad. That nigga gonna have $1,000. What are you here for?
Boosie leaning back in his chair, giving a quick, subtle hand signal to his nephew across the table. Seconds later, the whole vibe switched. His nephew stiffened up, another man leaned in, tapped him on the shoulder, and suddenly that entire room froze. The laughter stopped, the noise died, and all that was left was a heavy silence that felt like a warning. Just minutes later, Duke left the game, still smiling, still unaware that the temperature in that room had dropped to pure ice. Cameras caught him heading to his car, carrying that duffel bag full of cash and diamonds, but he never made it home. What happened next turned a night of dice and laughter into one of the most haunting unsolved street mysteries in recent memory. The game was over, but the real play had just begun. No security, no entourage, no backup, just one man, Duke the jeweler, walking alone through a dark Houston parking lot with millions worth of jewelry and cash stuffed inside a duffel bag. Minutes earlier, he'd been laughing, celebrating his win, completely unaware that danger was creeping just steps behind him. Then, out of nowhere, gunshots echoed through the night, the sound that changed everything. From that moment on, nothing made sense. Why would a millionaire like Boosie, someone who knows how unpredictable the streets can get, invite an out-of-town guest like Duke, especially one carrying that much money and jewelry, and not arrange any security? That's not just careless, that's suspicious. And let's not forget J. Prince Jr., the one supposedly hosting this so-called dice game. Why didn't he have security ensuring everyone left safely?
I know people were associating me with that Duke the jeweler situation because I went to the Boosie pool party and he happened to be there and he happened to be standing on me. I mean, right next to me. The truth is, I never met him before. I had no idea who he is. I didn't even know he was a jeweler until after his passing.
These are not rookies. These are industry players who know better. So why did Duke end up unprotected in a parking lot that night? But the strangest part wasn't the setup. It's what police found when they got there. When Houston PD arrived, they were told Duke had been ambushed by robbers. But the scene told a completely different story. Duke was found lying in his own blood, but his jewelry was still on him. Every single chain, every piece intact. What kind of robbers take someone's life and then leave all the ice behind? That's not a robbery, that's a hit. And it gets even crazier. Those were the same chains Duke had proudly worn to Boosie's concert just hours before. Everyone saw him shining in that setup. So when cops discovered that his prized duffel bag, the one carrying his unreleased jewelry designs and cash, was missing, it immediately raised red flags. But here's where it flips from tragedy to full-blown conspiracy. That missing bag didn't vanish into the streets. It somehow resurfaced inside Boosie's own house. Yeah, you heard that right. A $1 million bag from a murder scene ended up under the same roof as the man who supposedly barely knew Duke. To this day, nobody knows exactly how it got there, whether Duke handed it to him for safekeeping or Boosie got hold of it afterward. But one thing's for sure, Duke didn't make it out that night, yet the bag did, untouched, unharmed, and protected. Boosie later,
What the hell my 19-year-old cousin gonna try to rob and kill somebody? Bro, we getting money, man. We getting fucking money. That ain't our stilo. As a boss, I ain't letting that go down like that, man. This dude finna make me a piece. So y'all need to kill that. That's bad low, man. Don't put us in nothing with no bad low. It's bad low, man. This shit bad low, man. Straight up, the shit bad low. Kill it.
jumped on Instagram Live trying to flip the script, pushing the robbery gone wrong story, but fans weren't buying it. His story was shaky from start to finish. He claimed he didn't really know Duke like that, just met him briefly. But how does that make sense when he's the one who invited Duke to a private dice game with his own inner circle? Duke wouldn't have traveled from Chicago to Houston without trust, and that trust came from Boosie's own invitation, promising to talk business about custom jewelry. Now Boosie wants people to believe Duke just walked off after the game like nothing happened. Nah, the math ain't mathing, especially not when that bag somehow found its way to Boosie's house. And the look on Boosie's face during that live, pale, nervous, stuttering, said more than his words ever could. He didn't look like a man defending himself. He looked like a man haunted. The calm, cocky Boosie fans knew wasn't there that night. Just a man who'd seen something he couldn't explain and maybe wished he could forget. Something in that parking lot went way deeper than dice and money. It smelled like betrayal and blood. By this point, nobody was buying a single word Boosie said. Every time he opened his mouth, it felt less like an explanation and more like a cover-up in real time. The more he talked, the deeper the hole got, and fans noticed. Clips from his interviews started flooding the internet, and the comment sections exploded. One viral comment hit harder than the rest, saying Boosie knew everything Duke did before and after, like he was watching him the whole time. That line spread everywhere because it captured exactly what everyone was already thinking. Boosie wasn't just nearby, he was in the mix. People started connecting dots faster than the headlines could keep up. It got so messy that even the feds couldn't ignore it anymore. They were already watching Boosie over separate firearm charges, but when Duke's name started showing up in those same reports, that's when everything flipped. Federal agents quietly opened a new case, and once they dug into the details, things went from shady to downright sinister. They began tracing Duke's phone, hoping to track his final movements. What they found stunned everybody. The last ping from Duke's phone wasn't in the parking lot where he was killed. It was in Boosie's own studio. Now, how does that happen? Phones don't just walk themselves across town. That means someone in Boosie's inner circle took that phone there, maybe to wipe it clean, maybe to send a message, or maybe to make sure certain videos never saw the light of day. Whatever the reason, it screamed confidence. The type of arrogance that comes when somebody thinks they've already gotten away with something. But that's not even the end of it. When the feds ran a forensic sweep on Duke's rental car, they discovered prints that made the internet stop cold. Fingerprints belonging to Boosie's cousin and his nephew. Suddenly, all those hand signals caught on camera during the dice game started looking a lot more like premeditated moves than random gestures. Fans started replaying the footage, zooming in on that exact moment Boosie leaned back, gave that signal, and his nephew locked eyes with him. That wasn't small talk, that was code. And when you line it all up, the missing duffel bag, the mysterious phone ping, the fingerprints, and that eerie dice game footage, it paints a picture no one wanted to believe. That Duke's death wasn't an accident, wasn't a robbery, but a setup in plain sight. The realization hit hard. Duke might have been celebrating his win, but his fate had already been sealed long before he ever left that table. He was a walking target, surrounded by people who already knew how that night was going to end. He just didn't know it yet. Duke's fate was sealed long before that last roll of the dice. And when things seemed like they couldn't possibly get darker, the truth got uglier than anyone imagined. A witness finally came forward with a story so explosive that even the feds had to stop and listen. They said they were outside smoking near the parking lot when they saw Duke heading toward his car. Happy, unaware, carrying that heavy duffel full of cash and jewelry. Everything looked calm. until Boosie's nephew suddenly appeared out of the shadows like he'd been waiting. According to this witness, Duke clearly felt that tension shift. He must have sensed something was off because he allegedly swung first, trying to protect himself. But he never stood a chance. Within seconds, gunfire ripped through the air. The witness said it wasn't chaos. It was clean, fast, deliberate. Duke hit the ground before anyone even realized what happened. And what's wild is that there was no sign of a robbery. No one went for the chains. No one grabbed the cash. This wasn't about stealing. It was about shutting Duke up, punishing him for embarrassing the wrong people at that rigged game. It was personal, and it was final. And now the feds, they're not just running files and paperwork. They're tearing Boosie's entire world apart piece by piece. Every phone call, every transaction, every text message, all of it under the microscope. They even started digging into his businesses, his inner circle, and yes, even his family. Sources say investigators are keeping a close eye on his son just to see if any money, messages, or suspicious drops link back to the night Duke died. This isn't a case anymore. It's full-blown surveillance. The feds are just waiting for Boosie to slip, and when he does, they'll be right there to grab him. But while the law is circling, the streets have already made their judgment. The same streets Boosie once called home have turned on him completely. The last time he tried to show his face out there, witnesses say he got jumped, no warning, no mercy, by locals who were fed up watching their neighborhood turn into a death zone tied to celebrity games and blood money. They weren't trying to talk, they were sending a message. Now Boosie can't even move around without layers of security. Even then, he's constantly watching his back because one wrong turn could be his last. Every shadow looks like payback. Every face a reminder that the game he helped create is now hunting him back. And let's be real, it's hard to feel sorry for him when this whole mess traces back to the chaos he helped build. People say karma's finally collecting what's owed. Boosie and Jay Prince, two names once respected in the streets, now whispered like curses in back alleys. What they created for power and control has spiraled into a monster that even they can't tame anymore. The dice might have stopped rolling that night, but the consequences, they're still echoing through every corner of Houston. Prince Jr. and his crew built a whole empire around what the streets now call check-in culture. They made it clear, if you're a rapper or anyone with a name in hip-hop, the moment you touch down in Houston, you better pay your respects. And that respect comes with a serious price tag. Jay Prince's team runs it like a business. Protection, guidance, and access. But only if you pay up. And if you don't, the stories say you risk getting ambushed, robbed, or worse, silenced. And it's got people asking the obvious. Is it really protection when the only other option is ending up on the pavement? These so-called dice games, the ones that are supposed to be casual street fun, have turned into deadly traps. Just 2 weeks after Duke lost his life, Takeoff was shot dead at another one of those games. Same setup, same pattern. He didn't even make it outside this time. He was gunned down at the table. Too many coincidences, too many bodies, and at this point, nobody believes it's random. All that bloodshed circling back to Boosie isn't just wrecking his image, it's crushing his entire brand. Companies are backing off, deals are being quietly shelved, and promoters don't even want to risk his name on flyers anymore. The money that once poured in from his music and street influence, it's drying up fast. Even the Mob Ties crew, who once stood shoulder to shoulder with him, are ghosting him, leaving him out in the cold while the smoke clears. But instead of facing it head on, Boosie did what everyone expected. He tried to talk his way out of it. When the DJ Vlad interview dropped, the internet went into overdrive.
Dude went with us to the concert, and after I come off stage, everybody leaving. You know, we parked under the parking lot, under the arena where the celebrities parking and all that shit. He was in another car. He walked to his car. His car was outside the arena under where we was. It was on side the parking lot, so he had to walk to his car. And that's where the incident took place, when somebody, you know, tried to get him or whatever. But
this was supposed to be the moment, the one interview where Boosie would finally set the record straight. Fans tuned in from all over, waiting to hear the truth straight from his mouth. But when the cameras rolled, what they saw wasn't confidence, it was damage control. Boosie sat there in those dark designer shades, dodging questions, shrugging, mumbling half answers, and pretending like he barely knew Duke at all. The energy was off from the start. You could feel the tension through the screen.
It was about an hour later. It was about an hour later when we found out, when like the promoter was calling us. You know, that's what we found out. He was like, man, a dude out here dead with all of his jewelry on, you know.
Every time Vlad pressed him, Boosie leaned back, adjusted his glasses, and kept saying, I don't know nothing about that. It didn't fly. The streets caught it instantly. Viewers flooded the comments with fire emojis and accusations. He's lying through them shades, one said. Another wrote, Boosie can't even look Vlad in the eye. That's guilt all over him. The clip went viral in hours, racking up millions of views, and not because of what he said, but because of what he didn't. People could see right through the act. Every twitch, every pause, every nervous smirk became evidence in the court of public opinion. Fans who once rode for him were now calling him a snake. Even some of his own supporters admitted it didn't look right. Boosie wasn't acting like an innocent man, he was acting like somebody trying to out-talk the truth. Now the buzz online is brutal. Boosie's cooked, the walls closing in, the feds circling. Public opinion has officially flipped. The same internet that once hyped his realness now labels him a backstabber wrapped in diamonds. And the craziest part? Boosie seems to know it too. Every new appearance, he's quieter, more withdrawn, like he's already accepted that the game's catching up to him. The shades stay on, the smiles are forced, and behind that poker face, you can almost see the fear creeping in.
Vlad, bro, if anybody know me, bro, that ain't my stilo, bro. You know what I'm saying? That ain't how I get down, bro. Like, that ain't how none of my people get down. And that's just the bottom line. That's shit that we wouldn't do. And, you know, we was fucked up about it because obviously they were watching us. You know, obviously they were waiting for anybody to walk across that parking lot to them cars and get in them cars. So, you know, it could have been one of us, man. You know what I'm saying? But
the man who used to move like he owned every room now looks like he's counting exits everywhere he goes. The feds are watching, the streets have spoken, and Boosie, he's just sitting there silent behind his glasses because deep down, he knows the walls are already closing in. Now, all eyes are on Boosie. And this time, there's no hiding behind sunglasses or half-truths. The empire he once built on respect, fear, and fame is starting to crumble right in front of him. The feds are circling, the streets are fed up, and the silence from his so-called allies is louder than any diss track ever could be. Every deal on pause, every handshake gone cold, it's like the whole game turned its back overnight. What started as whispers about a dice game and a missing duffel bag has turned into one of the most chilling stories hip-hop's ever seen. A jeweler who built his dream from scratch ends up gone too soon, and a rap legend who swore he had nothing to do with it is now drowning in questions with no good answers. Boosie can deny it all he wants, but the truth always finds its way out. The streets remember, the videos don't lie, the evidence is stacking up, and whether it's justice or karma, something's coming for him, fast. The once celebrated real one of Baton Rouge might be facing his biggest downfall yet. And this time, there's no remix that can save him. Night. Was it all just bad luck, or the cost of crossing the wrong people in the wrong game? The answers might break the industry wide open. This is BarzBuzz, where the truth don't hide behind fame. Stay locked in because this story ain't over yet, and the next headline might just change hip-hop forever. If this saga had you shook, wait till you see what's next. You already know what it is. BarzBuzz got the real, raw, and unfiltered breakdown. So don't forget to like and subscribe, drop a comment, and share this with someone who needs to catch up.